This is the No More OGs podcast. From controversial topics to creating financial freedom, we will talk to real people about real situations, providing real solutions. No celebrity endorsements. Bringing you unfiltered discussions, dope interviews, and giving you the blueprint to create the culture that you will be proud of. So kick back, turn up the volume, and let's get to it. Here's your host, yours truly, Mr. Purpose on Demand, Mr. Retired at 37, Mr. Tim Jackson. What's going on? It's your man, Tim Jackson. This is the No More OGs podcast. I'm your host. And man, listen, I told y'all I wasn't playing with y'all on this content. I'm bringing people that's actually doing what they talking about, that has a proven blueprint that can show you exactly how they started and exactly how they got to where they got. But more importantly, people that's dibbling and dabbling in the real estate space. Because you guys know my goal is to help 1,000 families purchase their first home this year. So I want to bring people along who's going to teach you how to do the same while investing into a product that you can believe in and that you can build wealth with. So listen, I'm going to bring in this guy right here. Let me tell you, I'm just going to give you a short take on this dude, man. I met this dude through, I want to say it was Andre Haynes, man. We went to Houston. Yeah. Dre was having a book signing. I had seen you before. He pulled up, cool as all get out, as we say down here in Texas, man. As cool as he is on social media, he cool in real life. He ended up having an event in H-Town, man, and he allowed me to sponsor the event for Real Youth Mentoring. I still have people to this day that I keep in touch with from that connection, so I appreciate that. But I'm going to introduce to some and present to others my brother, Mr. Byron Sellers, straight out of Chicago, fresh off the plane. What's good,
you, bro?
man?
Man, appreciate you.
My man, fresh off the plane. How was your flight, man?
Man, it was cool, man. You know, it's good to leave from Chicago and, 30-degree cold, rainy, to come here to the 50-degree weather, so I'm with it, man.
You know what, man? We got some real funny weather here, man. It'll be freezing, raining on Monday, and it'll be 8 degrees on the weekend, but it's better than that cool weather, because y'all have real winters in Chicago, man. Like real winters.
Crazy, bro. Crazy.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, I had to bring you on because, one, man, I love what you're doing in the mobile home space. I'm from Texas, so I've seen mobile homes my entire life, bro.
Right.
Literally, I know people who live in mobile homes. And I have a cousin who actually invests in mobile homes, and she's been doing it for like over a decade. So a lot of people, people thought that my cousin was kind of like, why are you buying all these properties, these mobile homes? But what she did is she put them on land and got a lot of mobile homes on the land. And a mobile home is like a car out here. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They cheap too. They cost $10,000, $15,000, $7,000. And a lot of people live in mobile homes, bro.
Facts.
So let me ask you this, first things first, what in the world got a kid from Chicago? First things first, tell us who you are and where you from.
Yes, for sure, man. So listen, y'all, my name is Byron Sellers. I was born and raised in the south suburb of Hazel Crest, Illinois, right outside Chicago, 15 minutes outside of Chicago. And man, just like any kid that's growing up, not too far from Chicago, having hoop dreams.
Yeah. Everybody from Chicago think they can hoop.
Hoop dreams. And it was a little bit different though. My mother and father were Jehovah's Witnesses, so I had to. So while I wanted to go hoop, I still had to go knock on some doors. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So just coming up, man. It was blessed to come up from a 2-parent household. But at the same time, my dad was the breadwinner, and one thing he did, he allowed my mom to not have to work. But my mom being from Oughta Be Well Project, my dad being from Inglewood, they didn't know how to manage money. And so, I'll say about 10 times got rough, right? So now I love it. When I look back at it, I love it because, my parents had to go back to work, but my dad was like, yo, you got to get a paper route. Paper route. Okay, cool. I'm just a kid. I'm excited.
Yeah.
We slinging 400 papers. Whoa. I'm getting up at 5 a.m. I'm 10. Like, what's going on? So it was dope because he started instilling in me at an early age of work, man. From the age of 10 to all the way to college, man, I always had jobs, two, three jobs. And everything I had, my dad always told me, hey, listen, whatever you make, I need 40% to the house. So,
he taxed you.
Taxed me, you know what I'm saying? But it was good. As much as I didn't like it, it really instilled a crazy work ethic in me, man. So, fast forward, man, I did the college thing. I hooped in college. Came into the corporate world, was in the corporate world for 10 years, bounced around jobs, you know what I'm saying? And then, man, I wanted to get in real estate. And I remember I got fired March 3rd, 2017. And by November, I stumbled into mobile homes through a podcast, just like how y'all listen to a podcast now, all right? And it was about lady was talking about she was buying mobile homes for $5,000. She was flipping them. I'm like, wait, what? So I sent it to the wife, like, man, check this out. And I got home. Wife was like, yo, that's hard. Like, we doing this. Like, I know you want to do multifamily, but this real estate, I mean, with this mobile homes, I think we can really build a portfolio. So I'm like, let's do it. And man, we didn't know what we was doing, man. It was a few things on the internet, and we literally just hit the road 100 miles and running. Here I am. I had locks at the time. We just going to park to park to park, not knowing, just getting acclimated. And it was just like, yo, this is a whole nother world. Like, I didn't even know these exist. You know what I'm saying? If as far as from Chicagoland, it was only like maybe 3 or 4 that you may even see in Chicagoland. And man, it literally changed our lives, man. The first deal we did, we bought 2 mobile homes for $4,300. We put $3,000 into one. We ended up selling one for $9,500. We sold the other one for $10,000. We was like, we did this in 45 days. We like, oh yeah, this it. We ain't never seen no checks like that before.
That's a lick. You know, because I went, I had a chance to sponsor your event. Mm-hmm. But the beautiful thing about sponsoring those events is that you get to kind of sit in and listen. And I was in the hallway, and I'm like, man, this is interesting.
Yeah.
You know, when you and your wife got up there to speak, I actually came inside to hear you guys. Yeah. And like I said, I grew up in Dallas, man. You know, there's trailer. We call them trailer parks here.
Right, right.
You know, we live in a conscious world now, so you have to be literally correct. It's a mobile home community, but I grew up not seeing the value. And when I talk to people about real estate investing, like being here in Dallas, I was telling people you need to buy a house in South Dallas. You need to buy a house in Oak Cliff. You need to buy a house in Pleasant Grove. Those are the hoods here, right? Yeah. And people would always say, nobody wants to live there. Right. My thing was, I'm not telling you to live there. I'm telling you to buy the land. Well, when I saw you talking about mobile homes, I'm like, I've never in a million years, even though I had a family member who had been doing this, even thought about it. But it's no different than flipping a car. Fact. But it's somebody living there, and rent always goes up. You can rent them out. You can sell them. But that's a commodity that people need, and a lot of black people don't really get into that market. Like, you said you was going to those parks. You had your dreads. Like, were you getting any looks?
You know what? So I would say time to time, but it really wasn't like that. Like, a lot of people was welcoming, you know what I'm saying? Because it was kind of like I looked like I didn't belong from this. It was kind of like, okay, how you do? People wave, and I started being friendly. I started waving at people and things like that. So, it was cool. Like, it's like all the stereotypical things. Like, first I thought 8 Mile. I thought about all the trailer stuff that I saw. And it was totally different, right? It was like I'm coming into communities. I'm seeing like families outside kicking it. I'm seeing, like just nice neighborly. And every now and then you might get like 1 or 2 bozos that's, looking crazy. But again, I'm in their hood. So I'm not about to, say anything to them.
You said something right there. No, I'm glad you said that, because many times when people have a paradigm shift, it's typically when they get out of where they're from.
Yeah.
I went to the military at the age of 17. Nice. So I left Dallas and went to San Antonio, got stationed in Alaska, got deployed overseas. Within a year's time, I went from 4 different environments, right? Wow. Never forget going from Alaska to Baltimore in one day, then Baltimore to where do we go? To Ireland, and then Ireland to Greece, and then Greece to Saudi Arabia. Like, I'm an 18-year-old kid experiencing this, and my life changed forever, because all the stuff that I thought about things, I was proving it to be untrue. And I feel like in your space, one thing that you showed me was like, you got to get outside of your paradigm of thinking that something's going to be a certain kind of way. Even like when you see people from the hoods, if you will, there's this mindset that we have about the hood. One, because we took neighbor off of it, right?
Right.
You think about a hood as something you want to cover up and you want to be ashamed of, right?
That's a fact.
But you've made it to where people can, one, embrace the communities of the mobile parks, because a mobile park community in certain areas is no different than a subdivision, right?
Seriously. I mean, like, I'm talking about immaculate. Like, what I love about it, nowadays, they have pretty much like different grades of communities, right? So you may have A grade. A grade is a top notch. You talking these nice double wide, triple wides, just top notch homes, right? And then you have your B, your B class. Your B class is, still pretty good. C class, and then you start getting your D and the Fs. Those are, like I said, those are the ones you like. Okay,
it's like a hotel rating, right?
What I'm in right now, right?
No, it's so funny because it's like a hotel rating. When you travel, I'm gonna stay in a 5-star hotel, 4-star hotel. But it's funny you say that, because when I was a zoning commissioner in Dallas, there was this developer who came to I want to say it was a part of southwest Dallas, and his goal, or their goal, was to convert this land. It was actually southeast Dallas. Just all this acreage into a mobile home community, but it was going to be the A-rated one. So they had, these were some of the most, these mobile homes bad as hell.
I'm already knowing.
But it was 100% rental. And so that was the issue that the people in the community had with it. It was like nobody can own it, right? Yeah. But they were going to put up like, and this is going to sound like a strange number, and you tell me how big these parks are. They're going to put up like 400 units.
Oh yeah, they was going to go crazy. Like
with parks.
Yep.
Barbecue places,
all that.
Like, it was going to be a subdivision, man. And I was sitting back thinking to myself, like, this is a lick. Because if you can control the land and then you have people renting and then rent always goes up, you have 400 units that you own outright. You're talking about grade A. Yes. So you talking about you charging $1,500 a month.
Crazy.
It's crazy. And you just getting tapped in.
Just getting tapped in. I'm still a toddler in this, right? I've been in this now going on 6 years. And so, you know, to see, you know, what me and my wife been able to do in it, the space is amazing, but it's still so much, right? And you know, we started off flipping mobile homes inside of parks. We graduated to investing in mobile home communities, right? And it's so much like, you know, when it comes to development, you know, and we talk, the biggest thing is I love the sector because I'm all about affordable housing, right? That's something I see my family struggle with, you know, and so the whole component of affordable housing is the reason why I'm in this. But I tell people, where else in America you can find a move-in ready house for $15,000, for less than $50,000 move-in ready, right? So these are the people that we serve, and on top of that, you know, purpose over profit, but it brings in the profit.
You know, it's funny. Wait a minute. We not gonna skip over this purpose over profit because, you know, I did a show with Andre Hayes. Shout out to him, man. Shout out, Dre. You know. We literally talked about the same thing. Like once you win your purpose, everything else falls in line.
Facts.
And too often we chase the idea of what, you know, money looks like. That's a fact. The idea of what wealth looks like. And we lose ourselves through that process. And what happens is once you start working in your purpose, everything comes to you. Like you don't have to chase anything. And like I said, when I saw you bring together, you know, 250 plus people to come to Houston, talking about mobile homes, and then get into the room with all these mobile home investors that are really out there, like doing their thing. And didn't you and your wife buy a park, like a mobile home park? Like so we're not gonna skip over that because you know Byron came out, man, fresh suit. I'm gonna have to post the video up in the thumbnail, man. But he talked about how him and his wife actually went from flipping, you know, just units, if you will, to actually buying a park. Like, talk to us about that process of how it was to actually purchase a mobile home park. And if you don't mind sharing the details of it, we don't want to get too deep if we don't have to, but like that's conceivable, man. You did that right before you got married, right?
Yeah, definitely, man. So, you know, honestly, like, you know, putting purpose over profit, just kind of, you know, being out here, you know, going to the internet and just kind of preaching about mobile homes, it brought a lot of attention. And so we wanted attention. It brought was a previous park owner, and he had liked what I did. He was just like, man, listen, man, I see what you're doing. You know a lot about. He was just like, you know, I love to meet you. So I ended up driving to Indiana, and the first opportunity he gave me was he had 19 mobile homes that he had just bought a park at, 19 mobile homes, and he was just like, yo, listen, like I'll give you all of these if you're able to flip them. My problem was I didn't have enough workers to be able to go down to that part of Indiana and get it happen. So I was like, you know what? Listen, man, this is a great opportunity, but I'm not going to lie to you. This ain't my market. But if you got any mobile home park opportunities, let me know. I definitely want, you know, I want to learn more. So he hit me. I got an email. He hit me up like, yo, he had a mobile home park in right out in Greensburg, PA, right outside of Pittsburgh. The deal originally was like 1.4 that they was asking for, and he was like, listen, I'm looking for investors. I'm looking for some, you know, some partners to raise on this. But I'm like, say less. Like this is the experience that I need, right? So, man, that he was raising $350,000. We just gave him $50,000 for it to be a part owner of it. That gave us 14% ownership, which is. Hey, listen, I tell people, man, I don't need the whole 100. Just let me keep stack up, right?
Yeah.
So we end up.
You did the Jay-Z move.
Did the Jay-Z move, man?
Like what, 3% of the Nets?
Man,
but
listen.
Black America thought he was like the owner of the Nets, right?
He did for real, bro. And so, you know, again, that first one, man, we raised $350. Then we got it down to 1.1. We acquired that park. It was awesome to kind of see through the process, right? And so now, 13 months later, we end up selling that property for $2.7 million. So again, my 50 ended up turning into 157. You know what I'm saying? Less than 13 months. And while we were doing that, we were still every deal he got. We pretty much continue investing $50,000. So here's
you as a partner.
Exactly. So now I got 13% over here, 15% over here, another 15. So it just started to add up. So it was just like, okay, I don't need my whole 100. why don't we be a passive investor? And that's how I get my whole, that's how I get my ownership from there.
So when I first started talking about teaching the concept of entrepreneurship, I always told people it's more profitable to own 10% of 10 businesses than it is to own 100% of one business.
Yes.
Because literally that 10% is all investment. So you grow based off of the growth. You have an incentive to help it grow.
Yeah.
But essentially, you're only going to lose 10% if you lose it. But if you gain it, that 10% can turn into it can multiply times 10. Like,
man, seriously.
But people don't understand. It's like we tend to I speak on our community. We tend to want to be the owner, operator, the marketer. We want to be the dude that's running the commercials. We want to be shooting the videos and editing the video. We want to cut everybody out. And what happens is you put so much time, effort, and energy into it that it's only worth that 15 to 20%, if that, after you spent all that time, where you could have just either hired somebody to do it or purchased ownership. So when you said that, when you were like, I bought a mobile home park, I'm like, this dude got my attention. So let's talk about it. So how did that change your life? Like, not just from an economic standpoint, but like just with some of the relationships that you've been able to build over the years, because you had some solid people inside of that room.
Yeah.
That really don't bullshit when it comes to this space.
Yeah.
And I've seen you in some really big places, on social media, and seen you in different podcasts. Like, how's that changed your life?
Man, I mean, honestly, bro, I think kind of being one of the first black people to kind of come on the internet talking about this space, right? And when you're the first, a lot of times that's what you're known for. And it's opened up so many doors. I think that at the end of the day is just being, being genuine, being 100% myself. And, it's just the relationships has been, endless. I study this. I eat, breathe, everything manufactured homes, right? This isn't just like, if I'm gonna be in it, I'm 110%. Yeah, exactly. I'm 110% in it. So the knowledge, I've probably helped at least over 10 people close mobile home communities. Thousands of people just buy individual mobile homes. I mean,
communities.
Yes, communities.
Like communities.
Communities.
You went from telling people how to find their first mobile home to helping them close communities. And that's wealth. That's creating wealth for families, right?
Yes, man. And that's the biggest thing, is just like, I know every time somebody acquires a park, how many families they're helping. Well, they may be helping 10 families, or they may be helping 60 families. I understand that that's what they're doing. At the same time, I understand what they're doing for their own family, because now as you talk, you hear the word generational wealth, but you're talking about passive income until they want to sell it, or unless they want to pass that down, right? And so it's just, just the relationships has been amazing. I mean, just having and most of anybody I can call, they're gonna pick up the phone and things like that. And just I think, and then two is just representing Chicago. I think that it's a different look to somebody like, man, because people be like, man, you're from Chicago, how did you get into mobile homes, right? And even there, it's just always good to kind of get a city, a different spotlight, because I feel like a lot of people from Chicago, if you look at the artists like Kanye, you look at Lupe Fiasco, you look at Common, a lot of them did things outside of the box.
They did. That
put them on the map, right? So that's the same thing I feel like with myself. I did something outside the box, and I can still represent the city.
Kanye, College Dropout is his best album.
Classic.
Hands down, it's a classic. I still listen to College Dropout today. I don't care if y'all cancel Kanye. I'm listening to Grave Shift when I'm up at 12 o'clock at night working on something, right?
Yeah.
But you said something about Chicago, and I want to dive into it a little bit, because I love Chicago. I love the food.
Yeah.
I love the culture. I'm really big into architecture. And I didn't think that I was as big into architecture until I met Dre. And then Dre took me on this tour to the city. I'm like, okay, he gets it. And then every time I see him online, ain't nobody, don't talk to me about your downtown. It ain't Chicago, right? But I never forget, I went to Chicago, took my family there after I got my master's degree. I have family there. But I was going somewhere with this. When I talk about Chicago, that's not the image of Chicago, specifically with us, that's painted. And when I had a friend of mine take me on a tour of Chicago, the South Side specifically, where all the violence is happening and where all, the stuff that people talk about nationally is happening, it's in such a small, condensed area.
Very small.
But the city itself is so much more, and there's so much more people like you and some of the other people that I know in Chicago that's doing dope stuff. Like, why do you feel like it's so important to show a new representation of what everyone thinks is your city? Yeah.
I think, it's very important. I think the biggest thing, man, is it's funny. Every time I travel, I tell people I'm from Chicago. The first thing they're like, oh, You know, they said that, oh, you're from Chirac or something like, and it's just like, man, that's like you said, it's very small, right?
It's insulting to you, isn't it?
Yeah, honestly, it is, right? Because like, again, the city that I grew up in that's not Chirac, right? That eventually changed, and unfortunately, you know, you have the violence that goes on, but I tell people like they do it to like that is within that community. Bro. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not just like innocent bystanders. Like we gon' now. Don't get me wrong. Like any city, robberies, all that kind of stuff happens. Absolutely. But I mean, it's always good to shine a light on the talent of what the city has, right? Like I think everywhere is a ghetto, everywhere is a hood, right? And so unfortunately, I feel like it's like after Barack got in office, it was like they really shed the light on our city. You know what I'm saying? Like a black man, you know what I'm saying? Like it just
a lot of black men had to pay for Barack's sins,
man,
right? Like,
bro.
I said one of the hardest times of my life in real estate in Texas was during when Barack that first 4 years, man.
Oh, bro.
Even when I was in corporate America, like you know, I'm in Texas.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I was Barack Obama everywhere I went to certain people because they didn't like him, right? Mm-hmm. So you're right. Like a lot of shit got called out when he was the president. He couldn't even take care of his own city. Right?
Oh man, because again, Chicago always had violence. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like he got magnified after when he was in office. But I mean, honestly, it's so many dope people. There's so many people that's not really on that. And unfortunately, the culture. The younger culture has embraced that type of lifestyle. Unfortunately, not all, but some have embraced that. And so the biggest thing is you just want to set an example to let them know it's more.
Yeah, I mean, it's man, that's literally the whole premise of this podcast. Mentoring kids and going and traveling and speaking around the world. I always say, when I walk into a predominantly black school, I ask kids, what do you want to be when you grow up? First thing out there, man, I want to play ball. Yeah. Or I want to rap. There's nothing against that. I have clients that play ball and rap. Yeah. Okay. I've been on TMZ with a client before, right? When I go across town to a school where there's 10% black people, and I ask the kids, what do you want to be when you grow up?
Totally different.
It's totally different, right? And so it's like we have to show kids and even adults, because typically people get it when they're teenagers or they get it when they're in their 40s.
Yeah.
Right?
That's true.
And I bet you got a bunch of people that's coming to you in your 40s and 50s like, I did it wrong. I need you to teach me how to do it right. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah. That's 100%. I think that, most of 35 and up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so we have to show people within this culture that there are other alternatives, right? There are people that look just like you who own businesses. There are people who look just like you who have millions of dollars worth of real estate, in Chicago. People that teach people how to acquire mobile home parks. People that teach you how to do everything under the sun. It is statistically more easier to follow the path that I and Byron followed and to become a millionaire than it is to make it to the league. And it got to the point where literally I was going to schools just giving out money. Yeah. Like literally coming, I just started wearing Jordans, like really just getting into the shoe game within the last 2 years, because I would go in a suit and a tie. And even though I'm from the hood, even though I got tats all on me, like I'm that dude, people know me. I can go anywhere in my city and I had no issues. When I walked in to see those kids, they got intimidated because they weren't used to seeing a person that looked like them coming in with a suit and a tie. And typically when they saw people in suits and ties is when they was going to court. Yep. Like just keeping it real.
That's real.
And so I started dressing down, and I would literally go to schools and be like, hey, be in a room with 200 people. Hey, I need somebody to help me volunteer. Nobody would help me volunteer. One person would come up, I'll pull out and give them $100. Whoa, shit, what was that?
Everybody like, hey,
bro. And then I would get their attention because it's important for them to see a Byron.
Yeah.
It's important for them to see a Tim. So when they travel and go somewhere and people say, hey, I'm from Chicago, I'm from Dallas, it won't be, oh, you from there?
Right.
It'll be, oh, you from there.
Exactly.
Right?
That's real.
So I commend you for what you're doing, man. So I want to segue into the family aspect of it, because another thing that I really value about you is that, you show the family business.
Right.
You said as a kid, I had a paper route. My father instilled in me work ethic. But when I get online, I see you and your wife. When I go to events, I see you and your wife. But then I also see other people with their wives. I also see people with their husbands. I also see other families. And it's like, I feel like that you are, whether you know it or not, you're beginning to become a pioneer in that space too. Being a young, black, attractive male, you and your wife look great together, right?
Appreciate
Y'all
it.
are showing people like, oh, by the way, we can do it together. Like, is that strategic or is that just like this is what I saw, so I want you to see it too.
Man, so that's, I never really thought about it like how you just said it, to be honest. I think that, for me, it was this, she was there for me in like my darkest time. You know what I'm saying? Like she was there shooting with me in the gym. Like, man, listen, my car got repoed. I remember like, telling her, and she was just like, you know what? Like, I got you. Like, what you mean? She was like, how much is it? I'm like 12, like, I think it was like 1,200. She was like, I got you. Came, gave me the money. She's like, I took this out of my 401k. I was like, whoa. And that's why I'm like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna pay you back. She's like, don't worry about it. I know I got you. And she was so supportive of everything I was doing, man. She was like, she gave me a safe space. Like, come to my crib. You can just work in the office. Like, and nobody was giving me that type of energy. And it was just like, yo, so I always vowed to be like, man, I'm gonna take care of this. I'm gonna take care of this woman. And, for us, we did things a lot like unorthodox, right? We did stuff before marriage. We made $1 million before we even got married. You know what I'm saying? Like, we had a dream destination. But I think that honestly, man, it was just like she was my biggest supporter. My thing was like, however I can pour back into her and put her on, I want to always put her on this pedestal. So then that way, again, like if I can be an example, I can be an example. But it's just like, at the end of the day, I feel like this, like, I'm going to spoil her. I'm going to make sure that people see this as my queen because she was the rock that gave me the support and gave me that push and that momentum to become who I am. So I'm always going to give her, I don't care if I do 100% of the work. You're going to know it's 50-50. I might even tell you, hey, 75% her, 25% me, but it's just on the basis like I'm always, gonna put on that pedestal, and I want the world to see like, yo, this is the woman who believed in me. And if that's what pretty much help people, I see it does influence people to do it, but it's just like, yo, you can do this with your partner. Yeah, but y'all just gotta be on the same page.
There's a niche for that. We live in a world now where everybody, you can't talk about your girl, you simping or you doing shit like that. But me and you have a lot in common. And I was going to ask you, like, because you said you grew up with Jehovah's Witness, right? So you did everything unorthodox. Like, how does your family receive that? Because I want to talk about how our family received it.
It's funny, though. Honestly, my mom and dad, probably about age 20, they was like, he going to do whatever he want to do.
Right.
I kind of had the attitude. I was never like a bad kid and nothing like that. I always had smarts. Like, my homies that was doing, just doing dumb street shit. It was just like, nah, y'all can have that. I'm not going to jail for none of y'all. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? I always had that mind. So my dad always instilled in me to be a leader, not a follower. And so, I honestly, I think I did everything in the family that was supposed to be. I was first one to go to college. You know what I'm saying? I graduated college. Like, I played basketball. Like, all this stuff was like, and then got a job right outside of school. It was like I was the poster boy in the family. Yeah. So it was kind of like, it was like, man, listen, like he gonna figure it out. We not worried about Byron. You know what I'm saying? And so even then, it was just like when I got with my we got with Sharnice and things. My mother, like, I never used to bring women around my mother and father because it was like, I ain't bringing no women around. If I be my wife, I'm not gonna bring them around.
That's a fact. That's a fact. No, I relate to you so much because when me and my wife, when we were dating, it's very similar.
Nice.
We made our money before we got married.
Let's go.
But I'll never forget, we first started dating and we moved in with each other. And it was like, we got old school parents. Y'all shacking up. You know what I'm saying? Like, people at her job, because we're here in the South. So, the South is the Bible Belt. Yep. But we literally did everything unorthodox. Mm-hmm. Like, we moved in before we got married. Very similar situation, man. I went through a period in my life when I would say it was 2010, where I had like an epiphany. And I was about 30 years old, and I said, I gotta do something with my life. Like, I want to hit a certain. I know I'm destined for certain things. So I put my house on the market and rented it out.
That's dope.
Moved back home with my family. I sold my Lexus. I literally just liquidated everything I had because I wanted to get what I need to get. Yeah. And then so about 6 months later, I'm making traction. But my lease, I found another apartment. It was about a year later, and I told my girl at the time, I said, listen, I got this play. I said, if you let me work this play the way I think I can work it, if you give me 6 months, you'll never have to work a day in your life.
I love it.
And she was like, deal. And I moved in with her. That's when we started shacking up. You know what I'm saying? Moved in with her downtown, and I ran that play like it was the last thing I was going to ever do in my life.
Love it.
And that play hit.
Hey.
And it was like we scaled up. I got a new office. I quadrupled the size of my office. We bought real estate together. We flipped our first house together when she wasn't married. Like, we started buying investment properties. Like, the shit took off.
That's dope.
And I'll never forget, my wife's in education. she was at a job where she felt like she wasn't really being appreciated. The principal was on some bullshit. She came home one day complaining. It was a situation that took off, and I kind of had to get involved too because I don't play no games with my wife. Right,
big facts.
But I told her straight up, I was like, you know what, man? Fuck that job. Like, quit. Like, I've been trying to get you to come work with me forever. Yeah. And we that day, we typed up her notice and turned it in, and she cleaned out her desk, and like people were surprised that she would leave that career. And it's just like, I got you. And so I understand how important it is for guys like me and you. It ain't for everybody.
It ain't for everybody.
That cupcake and shit ain't for everybody.
That's real.
You know?
That's real.
But when you see somebody like us who understands the value of having that partner that's equally yoked, that can stand on their own. Cause my girl could stand on her own.
I love it, like, man.
I moved in with her.
Yeah,
you know? At one point. And then she trusted my vision. She trusted what I had going. And it took off. And now we look back on it and we just like, shit, we good.
Hey, big facts.
And I see you and your wife. I'm like, I sit back and admire y'all from a distance. And it's like, people don't understand, like, marriage can be the biggest life hack if you run that play right.
Facts, man. Like, honestly, it really is. Like, that's, like you said, if you run the play right, right?
You run it right.
And I think that as a man, like, one woman, your focus can be laser focused if you got one woman.
Yeah.
Listen, when I was running the streets, when I was at, quote unquote, at my pinnacle, that's when I was the brokest.
Damn.
Right? You know what I'm saying? My guys and them, like, when they was acknowledging, like, man, B, I see you, but I was really broke. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was about me a Cadillac. I had my own place and things like that, but I was living check to check just to maintain that and to be out here. You know what I'm saying? I'm out here. I ain't doing no dates. Like, I'm from the old school. Like, I'm not doing that, but at the same time, but it wasn't until I was focused. One woman, main focus, laser focus, had to deal with it. And then she supported that. She supported the vision. That's when wealth starting to accumulate. And that's why I'm just like, man, listen, I love my wife so much. I'm like, man, listen, ain't nothing out here in these streets for me. I'm straight.
It really ain't. It's only one thing out there. And it's funny because I'm a big Corey Holcomb fan.
Hey, bro, go crazy.
Like, I'm a big Corey Holcomb fan. Corey Holcomb hates marriage. Like, I posted one of his videos today where he was talking about, marriage, and he hates it. But I always think to myself, if you run the play right, like, marriage is a business. That's why you need a license to operate.
Fact.
And so I always, me and my wife, we used to do a little podcast together, and I would always tell people, it's better to be liked than be loved, right? When you love somebody, you tolerate them. When you like somebody, you pull up. You do whatever. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then we always tell people that we didn't get married for love.
That's a fact.
And a lot of people look at us like we crazy.
Nah, that's true.
But I love my wife. Let's not get it twisted.
Right.
But marriage was very strategic for us. It was extremely strategic for us because the way our parents were taught was that you meet somebody, you fall in love, you make it work. And that's why the divorce rate is over 50% for first-time marriages and 75% for second-time marriages, right? Yeah. But we sat down, we were like, listen, if we're going to get married, like, this has to be strategic. We both need to have perfect credit. We both need to be able to acquire properties in our own names. We both need to be able to do businesses in our own names. We need to be able to leverage one another, bro. Yeah. And I don't think people get that. But when I see people like you and your wife, I feel like y'all bringing back a little hope.
Man, listen. And that's the thing. I think, honestly, me and my wife talk about, I encourage, listen, if you watching this and you a single male, you a single woman, date with the intention to get a bag together. Because here's the thing, if y'all break up, you can be like, you know what, at least I got a bag with them. At least we got some money. You know what I'm saying?
That's real.
Y'all got something to, you know what I'm saying, to definitely have. But if you were to the point, again, you just, like you said, you dating for love and all, like, a lot, like, it's funny because sometimes my wife, sometimes single friends be like, hey, ask me, like, Byron, you got some friends, you got some single friends, some cute single friends. Like, you looking for a cute single friend. You already lost. You lost, you know what I'm saying? Or you got any friends with got some money?
I got some cute single friends too. I went to the event with
you know what
I can say that because I'm secure in my marriage. Yeah. And my wife ain't insecure in our marriage. So I done met those couple of
she definitely got some pretty friends.
And somebody, I feel like when I met y'all at that rooftop, one of them was teasing me. Was like, you got a homeboy? And I told her straight up, I was like, you don't want none of them niggas I run with. They ain't about shit. You quit talking to him, and they start laughing. But like, pick that back up because you said you already starting up on the wrong page. Cute single friends. You're not talking about getting a bag. You're not talking about growing and building. I've never heard anybody say that specifically. If you get into a relationship and at least you part ways, y'all built a bag together.
Yeah, I mean, because I think that's the thing. Like nowadays, this is city girl, city boy type environment, right?
Passport bro.
Yeah, exactly, right. So, so the woman already coming into like, okay, let me see how much I can squeeze out of this. Sometimes, and not all, but some.
Yeah.
And then the male already know, okay, I got to pay to play. So so after that, the signals don't get crossed, right? And so then sometimes I get it. Some women like, well, hey, listen, I mean, I know he may be inspiring and things like that, but I don't have enough time. And that's the thing to me. If you're in a position where you don't know what you're doing and you find a gentleman or you find that's an aspiring entrepreneur, this is when y'all can build together. Like this is when y'all can actually, because now something can spark, right? When you young and hungry, or not even when you're young, when you hungry to go to that next level, when you like, man, listen, like I'm ready, like this is my vision. You will as long as anybody who's willing to help you gonna, hey, okay, cool, get on my back, right? And I think that's the point that sometimes that y'all willing to build something together, or you may be opposite, but how can y'all leverage each other, right? Can you leverage one's credit? Can you leverage one's capital? Can you leverage one's network? And then y'all have some stuff when y'all dating and things like that. Again, y'all may not hit it off, but y'all be like, you know what? I remember her. She was good in that. You know what I'm saying? She helped me get that, man. I'm gonna always remember her.
You preaching, man. You preaching like literally. That's what me and my wife do.
That's dope.
One thing that we teach our audience is how to use credit cards with no interest, right? Those balance transfers.
Yeah.
Bro, every time we flip a house, we do a balance transfer. I never go get a bank loan. I just pull the money off the credit card because we've built up a snowball that's so big that we'll have that shit paid off in 3 or 4 months.
That's dope.
We leverage our credit, but it's always funny when we get ready to do it. She be like, all right, you using your credit this time, I'm using my credit this time. It's like, or like she'll send me a screenshot like, yeah, I got a better offer than you, nigga, because my credit score is an 820. And your shit is at a 790 because you got that other car. And then we'll laugh at it, but she like sends me screenshots of how better her credit is. And it's like a joke in the house. Like she'll walk by me, I'm in the kitchen, she's like, oh, bad credit ass, even though it's not. Right, it's like, we can go out and leverage, we can pull so much capital because we playing the game the way it's supposed to be played, right? We playing the tax game the way it's supposed to be played when you married. I don't think people get that. Even like, I mentioned like, when I talk, I done said Dre name 1,000 times. Right. Y'all, his episode comes on before this one, but
shout out,
he even talks about how him and his girl acquired almost damn near $2 million worth of real estate through a NACA program because you can't do it. You can only buy one in your name. Yep. He went and gave her the play. And I don't think people do that. I think that, I'm going to say it, y'all, because we keep it real on her. I think y'all just be going out chasing pussy. And I'm telling you, like, you can find, some good pussy, some good dick anywhere, ladies. Like, that's not, when the shit hit the fan, when you get in a relationship and let's go through a divorce, you're not asking for that good pussy back. You're not asking for, like let's keep it real, right? Like, let me get that back. Nobody shows up to the divorce proceedings asking for their love back.
Facts.
Like, every relationship you get into needs to be strategic. And because a lot of women work, a lot of women have their own bag. They don't need a lot of men. It's not like it was when our parents were coming up. You know what I'm saying? So it makes the playing field a little bit muddy because it becomes more of a boxing match instead of a tango, right? But I think that people like yourself, people like me and my wife, other people who are in relationships, we running that play the right way, and showing people like it's more to it than just two people being in love and having a kid. Yeah. We actually creating some shit over here that we can have forever or we can sell, right?
That's facts.
Facts. And then it's a good look. Like, as much as people talk bad about relationships and shit, if you go online, relationships are always trending.
Man.
What's Jay and Bay doing? What's Rihanna? They've been talking about Rihanna and A$AP Rocky all week.
Man,
you know what I'm saying? And it's like people really deep down inside, they want that, but they don't have people like you who are showing people how to really run that.
Man, no, that's a fact, and I think that's one thing, even me and my wife, like it's funny, like we do a lot of things private. We probably show about 5% of our life together, right? Too. You know what I'm saying? It's like, and we have so much fun. Like, what I love it, like that's honestly, like we best friends. Like that's my girl. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that's my nigga. Like for real. You know what I'm saying? Like, and I feel like that's the thing that we've been able to build. You know what I mean? But I think that, like you said, a lot of people don't necessarily want to get in relationships because they already in their mind, they start be thinking about the commitment. And so many people have commitment issues because when you think about committed, it's just like for some reason, I used to be like this. The feeling of commitment means, oh, I no longer have a freedom. But it's not about that, right? The committed part is just basically saying, you know, when you have time, here's the biggest thing about most men, right? If you still want to be in the streets, you still go run your streets. Just do what you do and be honest. One thing my mother told me a long time ago is just be 100% honest. No matter if it hurts somebody's feelings, you just got to be honest. So I feel like if you're a single guy on here, just be honest with the woman, with your intentions is up front, right? Listen, you're going to win some, you're going to lose some, but you're going to get more respect from that. You know what I'm saying? And so I look at it like, you know, especially when it comes to a relationship, right? The biggest thing I tell people when they get scared of commitment, you already made up in your mind what commitment is and what commitment means to you. Versus when you are in a committed relationship, you being present. You're present. You don't think, like, again, I'm married, right? So like, I don't think, oh man, what 70 gonna look like, what 90 gonna look like, right? Like, I think about financially, but I don't think about how we're going to be, you know what I'm saying? As far as, are we gonna be in, like, I'm not thinking about that, right? I'm in the present moment with her, and being present allows me to enjoy every day. And being present allows us, if we have a disagreement, because most people, when you get into it with somebody, it's just a disagreement.
Oh, you gonna have them too, man.
Yeah, you gonna have them.
My
it's
wife
inevitable.
was beefing last week. Just over some corny, some goofy shit, you know. But you know, it still was. Hey, I love you. You know, you get the fuck up out of here. But you know, and I think that in today's society, people think that everything's supposed to be sweet in a relationship, like. What we see online is all the lovey-dovey stuff. It's a couple, I can't think of their name, but their whole thing is when you love them, but you mad at them. So they're not saying nothing to each other the whole video. They just mugging each other. Like, he opening the door for her and shit. You know, he getting ready to go somewhere and she hand him his jacket. It's the funniest thing because that's what marriage really is y'all get on each other's nerves, man. But when you have a foundation of what the play is, it don't matter how mad my wife get at me. When I say, babe, I'm getting ready to do this 10-city tour, yada, 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 we finna do this. All right, well, what's it gonna cost? It's gonna cost this. All right, well, bet. Let's move the money from here to there and let's get it.
Facts.
What do you need? Okay, well, what's the compromise? The compromise is if I go out of town, I'm not staying for the whole weekend. I'm gonna fly out the night before on the last flight, and I'm gonna fly back the next day on the last flight. Does that make sense? So now I'm putting the kids to bed. You know what I'm saying? I'm on the late flight. I get there midnight. I start my event at 1 or 2. Still get enough sleep. The event's over with by 3. I'm on at 6 o'clock on the way back. That's dope. Like, that's what we agreed to, right? Yeah. And it's that compromise. But you know, some dudes are, oh shit, I'm on this tour. Let me go turn up for the weekend. No, the play was this. This is what are you gonna accomplish on that? Okay, let me order enough bulk books. I'm gonna take 100 books with me and sell them at $20 a piece. So I know that every tour I can make $2,000. You see what I'm saying?
That's a fact.
Okay, then I put the money in your account. All right, bet. Apply that to the debt snowball so we can get this paid down. Now we're gonna take this money over here and it's all. Even if she mad at me, it's all good because we still running the play.
Still running the play. You know, and I tell, listen, even when it's all temporary, right? Like you said, when you look back, anytime y'all into it and things like that, when you look at it and you're able to sit down, well, and like, here's the biggest thing for us. We invested in couples therapy. Like, we did the whole couples therapy play. Like, because it helped us. It gave us the tools to be able to get through conflict. Because like you said, it's going to come, right?
It's inevitable.
And that's why marriage to me is an investment. So we want to give ourselves the best. We're going to invest the most. We don't care how much money it's going to cost. So then that way we make sure that signals don't get switched, right? We understand how to deal with conflict. And that's what, when conflict is calm, we in a better place.
And it's a business, bro.
It's a business.
And when y'all get on the same page with dealing with what we call conflict, once it's time to make that business play, she knows how to negotiate without you. You know how to move. You already understand her mood and how she's going to feel. You can gauge what it is that, okay, here's this play. Like you said, you saw the mobile home play, you took it to her and she was like, we doing this shit.
Facts.
You didn't have to convince her. You never have to convince your target audience.
Facts.
Like, if I have to convince you of some shit, it's not for you.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And when you get a partner like that, like, I never had to convince my wife of shit. And we made some plays where we lost money, bro.
Man,
like,
it's the risk.
Bro,
Yeah.
Our first flip was the worst flip, bro. It's like everything that could have went wrong on that flip went wrong. Byron.
I can imagine.
Bro, everything that could have went wrong on that flip went wrong. But it was just like, all right, fuck it. Let's go to the next one. And she wasn't afraid. That's dope. You understand what I'm saying? But there's a lot of people that would have been like, fuck that shit, you know, because you start seeing how much money you putting into it, but then when you start making more money, that little funky ass $5,000 we lost on the first flip, That ain't shit.
Yeah.
That's we paid $20,000 on one house just to get the plumbing done.
That's a fact.
You know?
Yeah.
So I want to segue here, man. I want to. We're gonna wrap it up on this note right here, okay? You get to go back and talk to 18-year-old Byron. All right, everything you done been through. I always on every show I bring this up, man. It's what I call my Back to the Future reference. I'm a huge Back to the Future fan. Back to the Future is one of my top 5 movies of all time. Part 2 specifically. And in that movie, Biff, you know, he's in the future. He gets in the time machine and goes back to the 60s and 50s and sees himself. And he gives him an almanac with all the scores to every game. And he's like, hey, dummy, I'm you from the future.
Yeah.
Bet on these games and thank me later. Then he goes back to where he was, and he's a trillionaire. And it's not necessarily about the money per se, but the life lessons. Like, what would you see yourself, you know, 18-year-old you got long hair, man. You getting ready to go off to college, go play ball. You out in them streets, man. You doing what you do.
Listen.
And you see yourself in a hallway, and it's just y'all two. And he look up and he see you, and he like, damn, you look familiar. What you gonna say to him?
Listen, the first thing I'm giving him, I'm giving him $100 of rubbers. Like, listen, don't you dare, bro. You know what I'm saying? I learned the hard way in college. You know what I'm saying? I'm just gonna be 100. You know, being young and dumb, and you know, getting convinced. Like, no, like that's the first thing. No, you're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? But honestly, you know, I think at that time it's about building credit. You know, hey, this is, you know, if you do this, you know, by this time when you come out of school, it don't matter. Then the second thing I'm telling him is, tell my 18-year-old self is, this is a corporation. You can build a corporation in school, right? These are all your employees that you surrounding yourself with, because everybody outside of here wants to get a job.
Facts.
So you can leverage these 4 years. You are a business major. Leverage your professors. Leverage the network. I mean, leverage all of the things that we have. I would have been in all of the organizations, and like, let's build a business here. I would have started with building business in there. And honestly, when I was in school, that's when Facebook came out, and definitely would have did something within tech.
That was back when you needed the college ID.
To get on Facebook. Yep.
Then they let them ratchet niggas like me, and they let them MySpace people in. That shit went to shit. Now I'm playing with you, Meta. I run a lot of ads with y'all. Keep my stuff at the top, right? But no, man, I really appreciate, you know, you, man, just as a man, you know, it's something about, you know, being authentic, right? Some people say, you know, you one of them ones, or you know, like when you go into a room with somebody that's authentic, they don't have to convince you of anything. Yeah, you can genuinely feel authenticity when you walk into a room and you start speaking to somebody. But you can also build relationships off of that. And I've built so many relationships. I mean, the fact that you touched down in D-Town, came straight over here to do the podcast, man, that means a lot, because there's been a relationship of authenticity that's been built. But man, there's not a lot of people out there that's solid and stand on their word and stand on who they are. A person can show up exactly where you say you're gonna be, and go through the steps that you've given them, and it literally adds up to what you're saying. Yeah. And in this day and age with social media, there's not a lot of integrity. And you and your wife and your business, you all operate with integrity. So
thank you, bro.
I commend you for that, man. I'm telling you, I've been in Texas my whole life, and never in a million years would have thought about mobile homes until I got with you guys. And you guys are doing it the right way, so kudos to you. Promote yourself, man. Like, you guys, I see you with the gear on. Like, where can people find you, man?
Yes, sir. So listen, man, for one, make sure y'all make sure you follow us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube at Mobile Home Elite Investors, at Mobile Home Elite Investors. Man, email, if you want to email us, support at mheiteam.com. My team will take care of you. And listen, y'all, we have the absolute best manufactured home training that's on the market right now, man. Everything you need, you can visit mobilehomeeliteinstitute.com. We got our own online institute, and it's everything you need to become successful, man. We didn't create so many 6-figure earners. We didn't create 7-figure earners. And that way you can learn about this manufactured home industry. We got you. We're going to give you all the tools. We're going to give you all the steps that helped us go from 0 to 100, and we got y'all covered.
Hey, man, we're going to wrap it up on that, man. I appreciate you for coming through.
Appreciate you
as always, you guys, go get the book, Real Dope, an in-depth comparison between real estate and the dope game. You guys, I wrote this book to keep people out of prison. It's really that simple, man. I grew up, the dope game has been around me for my entire life. And I can remember having to go visit family members in prison. every weekend for 2 years straight because my mother saw me going down a path that she didn't want me in. And when I came back from the military and got into real estate, a lot of my friends were like, man, what are you doing? How are you so successful? How are you making money with this thing called real estate? And this is literally a conversation about real estate where I'm telling you specifically what I did and what you can specifically do. So if you can sell dope, you can sell houses. If you can flip bricks, you can flip properties, man. If you can hustle the long way, you can hustle the hard way. Be patient, though. A lot of people want a microwave response, and in real estate, it just doesn't work that way. I mean, it literally takes 7 to 8 months just to build a home from the ground up. You have to go through several seasons in your real estate career. My real estate career didn't take off until 10 years into it. I had a real estate license for almost 10 years before I started making money because I started putting in the effort, the time, and the energy. I told my wife to give me that 6 months, and I promise you I'm going to retire you. But not only did I get her in a position to leave her job, and I retired at 37, I've committed my life specifically this year to helping 1,000 families to purchase their first property. But more importantly, I'm putting you guys in front of people like Byron. I'm putting you in front of guys, like many of the other people who are coming on the show. There's no more excuses. We can no longer say we don't know. You have someone that looks just like you, from where you from, that speaks your language, that dresses like you, that talk the way you talk, that walk the way you walk, that didn't play pro ball, that ain't no rapper, that ain't no singer, no entertainer that's out there getting it. So y'all gotta get tapped in, all right? Follow my man Byron, y'all. That's all I got. This is the No More OGs podcast. Make sure you follow us at No More OGs. I got a really, really big surprise coming out for you guys. I'm not going to say it right here, but I might put the advertisement in the YouTube video when you watch this. So get ready. We're eliminating excuses. It's your man, Tim Jackson. I'll see you soon.